Hello and welcome, or welcome back. I know I've been gone for a little bit. I appreciate anyone who was waiting with bated breath for my return. So I've done the daily Dharma #1, and it was just a few honorable mentions about the political state of things. This is in the aftermath of the inauguration in 2025. And so I wanted to do a little bit of an extension. And I did go through, I recorded the extended already. And I've got all of these cards laid out more for the political. And some of the information that was in that reading isn't going to be available because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what we've got out here, and we're going to take some cards on this. I just am still limited by the recording capacity of my device here. So we had this whole lineup of code cards, as I call them, a mixed deck, starting with the dynamics of a situation, some type of chaos, confusion, mass consciousness events type of things going on. But there is a miracle taking root here with miracle and root chakra. But then root chakra sandwiches these two beyond Lemuria cards between root and crown. So that's kind of talking about being that rainbow bridge, chakra bridge between spirit and matter. And so it's talking about the transpersonal nature of how things are happening here on the micro level. They're also happening at the macro level and vice versa. And so we're talking about how perception and narrative are so important in the coming time for maintaining both our stability and our holding the correct vibration for our own well-being, and also staying open and aware and inspired in these times, and creating and helping that healthy inspirational force out in the world around, in whatever way we can. The first daily Dharma, as I'll just give an honorable mention, was surprisingly a lot about friendship. And it didn't seem that we were talking about friendship, but somehow it was talking about this something happening under the cloak of darkness that was an atrocity and a sacred sin against the sacred law. And something was taken, stolen, or done out of alignment with the rules of proper engagement. And so then, as I throw these cards, some of you are probably going to say that if I didn't show it on camera that it doesn't exist, but so far nobody's commenting and being hecklers. So please do trust that you don't want the extra 30 minutes just to go through the cards that I already have laid out here. In the interest of time, please just trust, and we'll throw some cards on top of it. I wasn't clear until more of the cards came out what we're really looking at, because maybe I was asking some of the incorrect questions. But we do have this loving compassion, and I just saw right there divine feminine is behind that, but I have more than one card here. Air, paradigm shift, and sacral chakra, the core of creation here, are what are directly in front of the divine feminine and the underneath of the deck. And again, we're going into the year of the wood snake, and here we have this winged snake here. Core of creation, yes. The sense of safety, security, worthiness, and inner value, that self-love is going to be crucial to our sense of well-being. And this sense of loving compassion was coming through as that friends, colleagues, and so on, other people in the world, in order to be in our own well-being in that proper headspace. I think that forgiveness and acceptance of the other individuals and all of their shortcomings and our own perceptual differences from others. We need to just kind of, again, with that need to, it's an invitation to create greater compassion for our friends, family, and colleagues and neighbors in this coming time, to create this universal sense of abundance and creative fertility, life fertility, to feel like we're all coming together on the same page. And with remembrance, at first I was just kind of thinking about how this was a time of sacred remembrance of spiritual prosperity, a time where we felt like we were safe and secure, and there a time of greater innocence, perhaps. But how we define that when we're looking at something so divisive as the current duality, it does become a, a difference of seeing the good and the bad, the fearful and the exciting from different times, and creating deviations in the narrative and in the perspectives here. So I will apologize. I know that my chair is squeaking with these bibs. They're just, it's making noise. It's not me, I promise. So how do we get there from here? What we've got is, I've got two layouts here started, and what we've done is just started a Celtic cross for the two sides of the aisle, so to speak. And as much as duality has to do with team colors, so to speak, I did still want to look at the various sides, because it seems that something is not quite right. And no matter what anyone else has been saying, my intuition is telling me to stay the course, to trust in the timing of the mystery being unveiled, and that does seem to be supported in the cards. So let's show you what's down here. So beginning with this team blue, so to speak, we had the Ace of Shells coming out here, talking about our home being with us at all times, happiness and abundance, with the Two of Shells, union and harmony crossing. So I feel like the team blue is largely made up of a bunch of individuals that are doing things based on a need for unity, compassion, solidarity, and acceptance of other individuals and their own diversity here. And it comes from a place of self-love, when we can openly accept other individuals without feeling that that is some type of an affront to our own beliefs or beingness. And that being crossed with this Two of Shells, this union and harmony here, feels as though we're being challenged to reach that sense of acceptance and forgiveness necessary to cross this next threshold here. Coming out under the deck then, and then it came out on its own, we had Queen of Crystals, comfort and prosperity with this hedgehog energy. It talks very much about being shrewd and savvy and looking at things, setting oneself up, protecting oneself for the long haul, but still having some sense of stature here. I feel like this is talking a little bit in this moment about privilege, and how some people are used to being safe and cared for, and so they'll take whatever they get, like at a job, for instance. It doesn't matter what the boss chooses, it's their company, I just work here. Yeah, like, I just vote here. It's not my circus, not my monkeys. So Queen of Crystals also talks about that economic security, and having hopefully secured things in advance, intuitively in advance of coming times of scarcity, or attempts to test the foundation of something. Hopefully there are some safeguards in place. And the foundation on this side comes out as 10 of Crystals, with stability and attainment, with 21, the world, fulfillment and celebration. So I feel that perhaps I'm confusing the two readings. I don't know if I already said this or not, but yesterday's reading I had pulled out the 48-hour card. So I do feel like in some time frame between about 24 hours to 72 hours from either recording or when you get this video, there will be more things coming to light, and we do have some revelations coming out here in a moment too. So there's going to be something coming through that will be a cause for relief, some type of awareness of something that is coming and changing. There's a completion of an old cycle, a fulfillment of some type of sacred destiny here, and the attainment of some type of stability, some type of something to stand upon here. So I went through and I did both sides with each deck, and then I went back through and clarified. But we may as well go through with the clarifiers since I've already done that portion. So the next deck, I pulled 3 different cards, but we had a big spill out, and I did read those cards. But let's just stay with these ones in the interest of time. It comes up with the emotional disappointment of the 5 of Cups, warning against apathy or losing for losing, or throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and oh well, since no one else did anything previous till now, I guess we just leave it and see what happens type of a mentality. It's very pitiful and victimized here, and we're being told to look behind us here and make sure that we understand our resources and what we do hold still in our, not only in our beingness, but also the things that cannot be destroyed in this moment, no matter how bad things get, but also our power in a situation, our resourcefulness to shift and change. And some of that came through with our ability to hold space for and share our light with other individuals to help others feel hopeful and inspired. But I was also getting that there is some type of a messenger here, and I did plug it's, I think it's Jessica Denson with lights on. She seems to be really lucidly covering the fact that this is an ineligible appointment, and it has been from the beginning. And uh almost virtually no one else wants to speak about this publicly with any type of semblance of platform, um, without being censored. And it comes through here, this inspirational information here comes through with the judgment card. So calling judgment upon something else, but it's also calling forth our own decision-making ability. And something is pending finality at this point, and with the world card, something really is coming to a close. And so the cards or dominoes have not all fallen as yet, but they were about to. It says there's only one decision that can be made under these circumstances, and so somebody is calling that forward. And I guess for one, it's like there has, I keep getting consistently from my guides and the powers that be that he is being used as a tool for mass consciousness awakening and ascension. And so it's going to take the destruction of the faulty shadow, harmful and toxic agendas, and we have to look at that in some type of a way. And the individuals that are complicit in those actions need to look at that, where their voice and their choice is supporting, and how karmically that is looped into their resulting lifestyle, etc. And so part of this messaging here on this side is coming through with that awareness that we need to be very compassionate in order that we don't further push against, with resistance energy, our friends and family that need to come into the center. We all need to come into the center instead of being polarized. So before we get into the overall energy, which came out last, we'll go ahead and talk about the Team Red side here on the right. And he then had a spill out on this side. Many major arcana came out. I was seeing shadow and light energies, some Knight of Swords energy, which then did come out in the other deck. But I put all those back, and the two that were face down were no joke. The shadow representing the Capricorn devil energy here with this self empowerment and ambition, with the coyote, the trickster energy. Coyote has his own divine magic and shamanic capacity, but generally is clever and being self interested here, which is as it is. We'll always have some level of that, and we are all meant to be somewhat self-interested, but harm to none. And so the shadow eventually catches up with us when we do not look at it in the light of day, and when we push forward agendas willy-nilly and push forward before we're standing on stable ground. The shadow card of the devil comes out crossed by 16. The tower, the shaky foundation, could topple at any minute. There's already infighting. There's already things that are trying to be pushed through, which are greater illegal acts and so on. Release and revelation. I do believe that based on yesterday's reading that wasn't publicized, there was a lot of revealing speech, and we can even look at that Sig Heil, what do you call that, gesture made by Mr. Leon over there. The information is being disseminated, and we need to trust that what we're seeing is what we're seeing, and we need to be very aware about our own power and the need to take action to reveal information. So I'm not sure how it would be accomplished at this point anyways, because of the transition that went through illegitimately. But the part 2 of the information from the Jack Smith filing, it could accidentally get leaked. You never know. There's other people's files, such as Matt Gates's files was hacked. So that's already public, right? And wasn't it already released anyway? Yeah, so it's a joke. Not literally, unfortunately. So the tower's potentially going to come down, crashing down to reveal what it is. And I do believe it's going to be a doubling down on Project 2025 and all of those anecdotal type ideological type of thoughts. So coming out, crowning the energy, is the 7 of Feathers, which came out in both decks, you'll see. Preparation, resourcefulness, talking about the cheetah, where it has that enormous transformation of latent to energetic momentum to pursue their prey and to catch their prey when they want to. And so I think that we're going to be seeing different individuals in the lineup of the people that are now in prominent positions, really pushing forward, trying to get some ego validation, some type of attention from their fearless leader, and making a name for themselves, all in the idea that they're doing something that is wanted, or so on. But again, with that energy of under the cloak of night, this was done. And so the foundation on this side, The foundation on this side comes through with the four of crystals, the 6 of acorns, and the 13 major arcana, transformation. 4 of crystals talks about control and security. And I do believe there's going to be some attempts at immediate deregulation of things like the coins, the um, um, what do you call that? The bitcoins and whatnot. Uh, and some of these will be very successful. And I think that that success is going to boost their confidence and their thought that they could and should just broadcast more and more of their secret underbelly, thinking that individuals approve of this information. And so during this time of transition between leadership, I think that twofold, we could be looking at extreme transformation of our expectations of normalcy, going into circus and clown act after clown act going forward, because I believe that we're being shown a grand theater while something else is strategically being unveiled to us in real time. And so we can look at those gestures, we can look at the literal speech of these people. And he even thanked his friend Leon for his help with the voting machines out in Pennsylvania. Isn't that nice that we can just all sit here and witness somebody admit being above the law? So eventually, soon perhaps, this will catch up and there's this transformation again. So it's transforming our opinions about what's at stake here. It's helping us to understand what needs to be transformed in both our country, in our paperwork, our constitution, and so on, to protect ourselves from pitfalls in the future, safeguards, double checks, things like term limits and voting for our Supreme Court justices instead of allowing them to be appointed and answerable to no one but themselves. Electing people that will continue to deregulate and self-interested, helping themselves to more and more of our taxpayer dollars, feeding themselves at our expense and not upping the minimum wage. It has been this tragically low for decades, and it's unconscionable. And so these things do represent a grievance, a great insult to divine sacred law. And so Simpsons and some others have also said that they believe that this fearless leader is not well. And so there is always, at his advanced age and clear lack of healthy self-care, there is always the possibility that he, now that he's in there, is going to not be able to continue for one reason or another. But we'll see that if it happens, it happens. Coming out over here, the 7 of Swords continued to be under the deck for several different times as I was shuffling through. High Priestess did come out over here, and it was talking about how we need to guard our intuition and that secrets may be revealed, because this came out with Judgment, and it reads at the end, good or bad secrets to be revealed. And then it came out first and foremost on this side here. I mean, first was a spill out, but we're not going to take all those cards. So intuition, and this one came out last. The second two, Knight of Swords, immature, impetuous, speaking before they're thinking, acting before their plan is really fully formulated. So with all this careful strategy and distraction techniques and propaganda that we're going to be seeing, it looks like they're going to be really not able to look where they're going. in all of their efforts to jump in and make names for themselves. So then we get this Two of Swords, need to take the blindfold off, and to keep reassessing the situation at hand. They're in a place right now of somewhat peace and harmony. We did also under the deck over here get that Three of Cups about celebration. It's like they're riding high on their victory here with that Six of Acorns also. And then we have this King of Swords coming out last with this authoritarian, cold, abrasive, demanding of respect. And so I can see that this can talk a little bit about going after one's enemies, perceived or otherwise, and censorship, and making declarations that things will not be acceptable, like free speech against the individual himself. So, lastly, we got some Akashic Tarot cards, and the first ones that came out were 15, the Muse, correlating with that shadow card that came out on Team Red side here, talks about not being led by the Pied Piper off to fairyland here, but to stay inspired and aligned with our true north, and to mind our own temptation to go off the rails and to deliver in kind action to those that are doing things against the spiritual sacred law, and to stay in our integrity and in our inspiration, while Uriel reveals all of the great mystery and how our own transformation is also happening in conjunction with all that is happening here. All we are asked to do is to handle our own business at this time. And then the three cards that came out lastly was this Karmic Trench. I do feel like that is talking about the sacred laws and how we are all upholding and in working out our own specific efforts here. Some people, it's going to be extreme sadness and depression and apathy. Other people, it's a sense of victimization. Other people, it's a sense of rage and bitterness and hatefulness and retribution and so on. Other people, it could be complete withdrawal or a sense of loss of faith, loss of hope. There's all of this that can be going on, and that's our own karma to unravel. But while we're doing that, it looks like there is something holding this team accountable for their bad behavior, because it's coming out a couple of times. So then we have this Light of the World, number 10, with the changing of the fortune's wheel, and 10 is another completion card. It's coming through perhaps when we least expect it, when we're tending to our own inner hearth fire and our own, he's got a cat there, his own kin and brood. When he's tending his own business, this light comes forward and the message is received. So we need to stay tending our own children, our own garden, and recognize that those other individuals in our communities are not the bad guys necessarily. I'm sure we all have a few bad guys in our midst, so to speak. But I think that we need to not be drawn down into the conflict or the chaos and confusion, because bringing it full circle here, to create the miracles from within this chaos and confusion, we're being reminded to ground ourselves very firmly into reality here, as well as to reach into our inspiration, to step through new dimensions and new levels, to be reborn in our heart space, in our truth and hope and faith, and for our prayerful holding space for our neighbors and so on. activating these new soul blueprints, because in the coming phase, we are looking at more cosmic identity than ever before, particularly since we just had disclosure. So, and underneath the deck, right at the buzzer, came out with 14, the initiation and the Count of Saint Germain, bringing in that powerful magician, I am essence and power base, the ability to transmute lower vibrational negativity into higher inspiration and hope for the future, to take the illusion and the propaganda and to be a critical independent thinker amongst it all. And so I want to just get an oracle card to finish this one up, and then maybe I'll do another one, maybe I will not. So happy to have you guys along with me. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I appreciate you. Please do consider hitting some of those buttons for me. We had something flip. What was it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me here. There it is. Okay. It is persistent drive, number 11 with the shark. Your instincts are honing you in on something and telling you specifically to stay focused and laser focused in one direction and not to become scattered or adrift in the chaos. See what it is that you desire and move towards that goal. It's time to zero in on your purpose. Use your intuition and your instincts to guide you for the optimal outcome. So amble with contentment is under the deck. So it's talking about the sure-footedness to counteract our swift-footed, tippy-toe, stumbling opponents here. Our sure-footed, grounded nature, our anchoring into spirit and settling into environmental concerns helps us to be guarded and protected and in the sacred harmonic flow. So waiting rather than acting is going to be most advantageous right now. So, you know, there's this other saying, I don't know who official said it, but something like the best thing to do when your opponent is coming at you with flailing fists and fury and all types of energy is just to move out of the way and let them just go tumbling forward and to fall on their own face. It might have been the Buddha. Be insightful and established, right? That grounding and insight and establishment, your foundation and your knowledge. Ground and rebalance your energy. Bring your awareness into the now rather than allowing it to occupy the past or the future. Exactly. That's more where that remembrance is at. I also forgot to mention we had the 6 of Cups come out on both sides. So there's a lot of nostalgia and remembrance, and we're being told to stay the course and to trust the process. So take good care of yourselves, guys. So much love to you all, and take good care. Check back with us for more messages soon. Thanks.